Chapter 20 Jailbreak. Fire Country Hokage Monument Secondary Council Chamber. You want to what? Tsunade asked in a barely controlled shout. The demon must be executed for its actions, said one Haruno Shiki. It took every ounce of control Tsunade had not to pummel the civilian council head where she stood. He is a nuke mean and must be dealt with accordingly. He saved us from pain and you want to kill him? Tsunade asked ludicrously. She had expected the council to let Naruto back in after the whole attack had passed, but she never expected this. Why? If it wasn't for that demon, then we wouldn't have been attacked in the first place. Shiki shouted in anger, causing the room to go silent. She continued after a moment of silence, that demon has caused us many problems lately and must be dealt with. His horror is to be executed too publicly so as to show that we do not stand for traitors. Naruto is not a traitor or a demon, or did you miss the fact that the Kyuubi was there during the battle? Tsunade shot back. Thank you for bringing that detail up. The crime of releasing the Kyuubi must be added to the list of charges as well, the civilian head told her with smirk. That is not going to happen, Tsunade said in finality, only for Shiki's smirk to widen. We already have the daimyo's consent, Tsunade-sama. You have no say in the matter. The two young Sannin will be executed tomorrow at noon. Danzo spoke up from his seat in the elder section. There is simply nothing you can do. How did you manage to do that, Danzo? Tsunade narrowed her eyes at the old warhawk. You can't just kill them. The problems caused from killing them are impossible to predict. That girl is the Reikichi's granddaughter, for crying out loud. Do you really think Kumo will take her death lying down? Are you willing to risk open war between Konoha and Kumo over wanting to hurt Naruto? Kumo are irrelevant. The demons will be executed, and that is all there is to it, Shiki said in finality as the entire civilian council stood as one and left the room a moment later. The elder council followed soon after, with an angered shinobi council following them a few seconds later. Tsunade was left in the chamber alone, with her shoulders slumped and hundreds of thoughts passing through her mind as she tried to understand where everything had gone wrong. She remembered how things were before Team Yamato went to retrieve the younger Uchiha at the time, and how she should have done more to stop Naruto's exile. It didn't matter anymore, though. As Hokage she wouldn't stand for it, though not anymore. She was going to do something about this whole situation, something she prayed never to be forced to do, but she had no choice now. She left the room a moment later and found her assistant, Shizune. She said, catching the young woman's attention, gather all of the shinobi of Konoha from every rank. Everyone but those from Root, and have them in my new office within an hour. Shizune nodded in understand. May I ask what this is about? I'm going to do something that Sarutobi-sensei was too afraid to do, was all the blonde Hokage said as she turned to leave. Lightning Country Reikichi's office. They're going to what? Shouted the Reikichi in anger. His assistant and bodyguard, not that he needed one, sure answered immediately. Konoha appears to have captured Yujito-sama and Namikaze-sama. They've been sentenced to execution by the Konoha Council and the Fire Daimyo. That stupid kid, what was he thinking going after Akatsuki? Especially in Konoha of all places? I sent Yujito with him so she could get stronger not to fight Akatsuki every chance they got. The Reikichi shook in anger. He turned to the team that had gathered in his office and said, Team Samui, I have a mission for you. S rank, infiltrate Konoha and get those two out of there before the execution. There's not enough time. We'll barely be at the border when the execution takes place, Karui told him as she looked over the time of the execution. Find the time, damn it. The Reikichi shouted. Go! Fire Country Hokage Monument Prison Area. Pain was all he knew. He was plagued by it, but he also felt clarity for the first time in his life. He knew what he had to do. His promises had been kept, and he had defeated pain. He had defeated Nagato in more ways than one. He had a mission now, a path to follow, an answer. He groaned as he opened his eyes and proceeded to tiredly sit up. He noticed he was in a prison cell with Yujito in the cell on the other side of the corridor from him. Naruto? She asked as she saw him shakily stand. Hey Yujito, he grinned weakly and was about to move to grab the bars. Don't bother trying to destroy the bars, they've got a lightning seal on it. It will shock you if you touch the bars, and there are chakra suppression seals covering the entire prison, so we can't use any jutsu to escape. Yujito told him, stopping his hand from touching the bars. Great, Naruto grumbled as he sat back down against the far wall. Naruto? Yujito asked after a moment of silence. Yes, Yujito? He asked as he looked up at her. About what I said back when we were fighting Akatsuki, she trailed off, not know what to say. Naruto nodded and smiled at her. I know I love you too. Her eyes widened slightly before she smiled, not the cat smile she usually used either. I guess I always have. Yui smiled as she felt her cheeks heat up at his words. Idiot, she chuckled, bordering on giggling. Naruto laughed lightly. You say that way too often. Well, it's true, she shot back in amusement. Tell me about it, he said as he leaned back against the wall. What do you think they'll do to us? Yujito asked, changing the subject. Naruto remained quiet for a moment before answering. I don't know really. I am scared, Naruto. He looked up, surprised at hearing those words from her. I don't know what will happen. I've been told about torture and everything before, but It will be fine, Naruto interrupted her self-destructive thoughts with a reassuring smile. We'll get through this, Yujito, trust me, he told her. She nodded and fell silent a moment later. Well, what do we have here? The two snapped their eyes to the door at the end of the corridor. Two figures stepped into sight. Both wore Umbu uniforms, but they had root insignia emblazoned on their shoulders, two demons. Who are you pricks? Naruto demanded, standing up. The first root looked at his partner and said, we must be quick about this, Fudano. Danzo-sama's plan will start soon. The second root, Fu, nodded slightly and understand. I am aware of that, Torian Dano. This will not take long. Hey, what are you doing? Naruto asked in a yell as the two roots ripped off the lightning seal on Yujito's prison cell and opened the gate door. Come here, demon, we need something from you, and you should cooperate, Fu told her as he took a step inside and drew a pair of kunai. Stay away from me. Yujito shouted as she stepped back against the far wall. Leave her alone. Naruto yelled and was forced to stop himself from touching the bars of his own cell. Just as Fu grabs her, he suddenly felt a searing pain in his chest. What? He looked down, seeing a cackling fist of lightning seemingly erupting from his chest. Raikiri. A voice whispered from behind the root Umbu member, your future is death. Fu fell forward and dropped to the floor dead. I told you. Who or why Toryun began only to be kicked into a wall. Who I am is of no concern to you, the shadowy figure told him as a medium-sized dog of pure electricity shot out of his hand and hit the root Umbu member and killed him instantly. It was then that Naruto and Yujito got a good glimpse of the man that had intervened. It was the Kitsune Sennin's former sensei Hatake Kakashi. He wasn't wearing his usual outfit though. He was wearing his Umbu-style outfit with a short sword at his side like a samurai and a large scroll on his back. Kakashi-sensei? Naruto asked, surprised at seeing him there. Kakashi nodded and removed the lightning seal on Naruto's cell. Sorry I'm late. I got lost at the entrance. The directions I was given were terrible. It was just like him to make up a bad excuse at a time like this. What are you doing here? Naruto asked as he tore open the gate door to his cell and exited it. The council wants you dead. Hokage-sama wouldn't stand for it, and neither will anyone else in the shinobi population. Remember Danzo? The copy Nin began and Naruto nodded. Well, he predicted how Tsunade-sama would react and has started his own little uprising, he explained. Are you saying Konoha is in the middle of a civil war now? Yujito asked him, surprised. Kakashi nodded. Yes, Danzo's root forces are everywhere. I had to kill 17 of them just to get here. They're like bugs. There are hundreds of them. Hokage-sama and the rest of the Konoha Nins under her command that are still in the area are fighting them right now. You're serious? Naruto asked, not believing what he was being told. Dead serious, Kakashi told him grimly and dropped the large scroll on his back onto the floor. So serious in fact that neither Hokage-sama nor I can trust this scroll to remain in Konoha just in case Danzo wins. I want you to take it and run, he stated as he slid the scroll towards the Kitsune Sennin. Naruto crouched down and examined the scroll. This is the forbidden scroll of sealing. Inside is every jutsu Konoha has collected, including your father's Hiraishin no jutsu, the copy Nin told him with a nod. Naruto looked up confused. Do you remember back during the Chunin exams when you were a genin? Kakashi asked him with a smile under his mask. When Naruto nodded, he continued, I decided to train Sasuke and left you with Ebisu-san. I knew you didn't like it and you thought I was playing favorites, right? Naruto nodded again as his fists clenched. I never told you the real reason I did that, did I? Naruto looked up at him and narrowed his eyes. What reason? Kakashi chuckled before answering, I didn't train you back then because I didn't think you needed it. In all honesty, I knew you would beat Neji without my help. Hell, I thought you were going to win the entire tournament back then. You probably would have if Orochimaru's invasion didn't start. From what I'm told, and from what I saw when you challenged Sasuke, your progression rate was and still is second to none. You knew I was going to beat Neji? Naruto asked, confused. I believed you would. I truly believe you are the only one that can surpass the Yondaime Hokage, Kakashi told him, causing Naruto's eyes to widen. The copy Nin chuckled again at the reaction he got. Once you leave here, I doubt we'll ever meet again, so I just wanted to tell you that. Suddenly footsteps began to echo through the corridor, and they all turned in the direction of the source. I think it's about time you both left. Stop the demons. They're escaping, shouted the lead Root Umbu as 7 of them came around the corner. Go! Get out of here! I'll hold them off. Kakashi waved the 2 Sennin to leave. Come on, idiot! We have to move! Yujito shouted as Naruto picked up the forbidden scroll. Goodbye, sensei. Naruto nodded at his fist sensei and turned to his fellow Sennin. Let's go. The 2 bolted down the corridor away from Kakashi and the squad of Root Umbu. Raikiri! A distant voice called out behind them as they left. Naruto strapped the scroll onto his back just like Jiraiya used to do with the Toad Summing Scroll and increased his speed. Yujito was with him every step of the way as they dashed through the numerous corridors of the prison complex. So have you got an escape plan? Asked the Nico Sennin. I thought I'd try blasting my way out, mix things up a little, Naruto said back with a grin. Sage Mode activated. The 2 assumed their most powerful forms as they raced towards the light at the end of the corridor that clearly led to surface, only to stop as they spotted someone standing at end of the tunnel. Naruto recognized her immediately. Sakura-chan. Yujito looked between the 2 and as they both stared at each other, who is she? For Haruno Sakura, however, she couldn't help but be assaulted by a specific memory as she gazed upon her former teammate. Flashback. No jutsu begin. You can't understand, Itachi said in a condescending tone. I can't tell you everything. There is no time for that. All you need to know is everything Sasuke has done has been for nothing and he still has a chance to redeem himself should he choose to. What do you mean? Sakura asked, confused. If Sasuke chooses not to redeem himself, then he will attack Konoha and kill everyone in it, Itachi stated, causing the pink-haired Kunoichi's eyes to widen. Can you kill him if need be? He wouldn't do something like that, Sakura said, shaking her head. Then you clearly do not know him, the Uchiha said in a condescending tone. Naruto-kun does not need redeeming. Konoha was in the wrong for what they did to him. Konoha's made some mistakes in the past, but Sakura tried to defend but was cut off. A lot of crimes have been committed for the good of Konoha since its founding. Naruto-kun's exile is just another thing added onto a very long list of crimes done by the village. Itachi interrupted. If Naruto-kun were to return to Konoha, he would be executed for the good of Konoha just like me. He's nothing like you, Sakura snarled. Oh? Itachi raised an eyebrow and smirked. I believe you are mistaken. Despite Konoha's attempts at controlling him and his strength, Naruto-kun has grew much more powerful in such a short amount of time, just like I did at his age. The Uchiha's features returned to normal as he asked, what would you do if Naruto-kun were to be captured by Konoha and sentenced to death? Surely you realize that is what will happen should he ever be captured by Konoha. Konoha wouldn't. What would you do? Itachi asked again, cutting her off. Sakura gulped and looked away. I don't know. I pray you find the answer, because if you do not, then Konoha will burn and everything I have worked for will have been for nothing, Itachi told her. Flashback no jutsu and hey, Sakura said lamely. Naruto looked at her confused. Sakura, what are you? The pink-haired Chunin stepped to the side and smiled at him with tears forming in her eyes. I'm sorry for all of the pain I've caused you. You deserve better. Someone once asked me what I would do if Konoha ever caught you. I didn't know the answer at the time, but I do now. Sakura Naruto trailed off as she gestured towards the exit. I won't stop you, she told him. Naruto closed his eyes for a second before he nodded with a smile. Thank you. He dashed forward once again with Yujito by his side and passed Sakura within moments. Take care of him, Sakura whispered as Yujito passed her. I will, the Nico Sannin whispered back as she ran. Chapter 21 The Great Escape. Fire Country Konoha Ruins. They had made it outside and onto the rubble-covered ground that was once the mighty village of the leaves. The sun had begun to set on the horizon by now, and the world around them seemed to be illuminated as they saw various Konoha ninja fighting off Root Umbu forces all over the destroyed village and heard echoing explosions in the far distance. It really was a civil war. Naruto and Yujito dashed and jumped across the debris that littered the ground, making sure not to use any jutsu and draw unwanted attention. Sadly, it didn't matter in the end, though. Hello, Dobe. The voice made the two Sannin stop in their tracks and turn to its source. Standing on top of a large cluster of rubble was someone Naruto knew very well. You appear to be running. I never took you for a coward, said Uchiha Sasuke. Sasuke, Naruto narrowed his eyes upon seeing his former best friend. The man had changed his outfit again. He did that a lot and was now decked out in what looked like a Root Umbu uniform covering samurai armor like the Uchiha of old. He had let his hair grow out also compared to the last time the two saw each other, and the other noticeable difference Naruto saw was his eyes. He had the Mangekyo Sharingan. Hey, isn't this the guy we picked up from the Uchiha outpost a month ago? Yujito asked, and Naruto nodded. What are you doing with those eyes, Sasuke? I'm not dead, so how did you get them? Asked the Kitsune Sannin as he tensed in preparation for Sasuke's immense speed. To acquire the Mangekyo Sharingan, you have to kill the most important person to you. In this case, it was Itachi, Sasuke told him as he drew his Kusanagi sword. But you didn't kill Itachi, Naruto shot back with a grin, and in a flash of yellow the Whirlpool sword appeared in his hands. I cannot allow you to escape. Dobe, hand over that scroll. I need it, Sasuke demanded. Naruto narrowed his eyes at that. That is not going to happen, team. So be it. With a quick Shunshin no Jutsu, Sasuke appeared at his side and attacked. Chidori Nagashi, he whispered as his sword was encased in lightning. Shuunpa no Jutsu, Naruto Flash stepped away avoiding the hit and reappeared a few feet away. This isn't going to be easy, especially with the scroll on my back. I can't use Demon Fox mode or the scroll will burn, and I can't risk using Rasengan or it will be shredded. Sasuke appeared in front of him again and attacked. He's fast, Naruto growled in thought as he parried the various strikes. I know ya. Sasuke jumped back as Yujito let loose a volley of fire-covered arrows between the two fighters. Did you forget about me? She asked as she touched down beside him. Sasuke just grunted in response as he held out his blade at the side. It doesn't matter if you both fight. You cannot win, you cannot defeat my eyes. I forced Itachi to run, defeated Pain, and I beat Niji back when we were Genin. I think that's all of the Jujutsus in existence, Naruto shot back with a grin. Sasuke's face settled into a glare as Naruto made a familiar hand seal, Tajukave Geibunshin no Jutsu. Instantly 50 Naruto clones popped into existence all around them. Charge! Sasuke closed his eyes for a moment before he opened them again and black flames erupted from them. Amaterasu. The clones were destroyed in a matter of seconds. A moment later, however, the flames were snuffed out by a monstrous tornado of water. Futon Rasengan, Suiton Hahanryu Gufu Suka no Jutsu. Naruto called out as he unleashed his ultimate water defense jutsu. A large cloud of mist blanketed the area, forcing Sasuke to take a step back. He used his jutsu to condense the flames of Amaterasu into this mist to negate my Sharingan Futon de Tapa. He heard the distant echo of Naruto's voice, and the mist was suddenly blown away to reveal Yujito was running at him with a fist covered in crimson flames. Kaizuki! Yujito called out as she made to slash him. Sasuke turned swiftly and his hand cackled with electricity, Raikiri. The two elemental attacks clashed as Naruto watched on surprised. He's able to do Raikiri? When did he learn how to do that? He shook his head and created two clones who began to prepare his signature jutsu, Futon, just as Yujito and Sasuke broke away from each other. Naruto threw his chakra shuriken, Raisin Shuriken. Sasuke's eyes widened upon seeing the approaching jutsu, Amaterasu. The black flames that Sasuke unleashed forced the jutsu to detonate prematurely away from its intended target, and he sighed. That was close. Raikyu! A voice called out from above. He jumped back but was still caught at the edge of the attack's range and sent crashing into a chunk of upturned earth with an electrical discharge blowing him back. He grunted audibly from the pain the attack did and stood a moment later while trying to see clear. His vision deteriorating? You can't win against both of us, Sasuke, just let us go, Naruto stated. Sasuke remained silent as his vision returned. Fine then, Naruto growled out as he held out his hand and began to channel large amount of chakra. Yujito shot up into the air with her fire elemental manipulation as Naruto jumped towards Sasuke's location, Cho Udama Rasengan. Susanoo. The entire destroyed village shook under the force of the massive explosion the jutsu caused, and the world was engulfed in light. It was one thing to see it being used in the middle of an already existing crater. It was entirely different to see it used on a section of a destroyed village. There was now a large, though still smaller than the main one, crater next to the destroyed Konoha. The village wall along the side had been all but destroyed on one sections of it, and there was no longer any rubble in the area he had just wiped out. It had all been destroyed and reduced to a nice smooth crater. Sasuke shakily stood in the center of this crater, encased in a large aura reminiscent of a Yamabushi, with Naruto standing a few meters away. Upon seeing this, Naruto called out, Yujito. I know. The Nico Sannin called back from where she hovered in the air above him. 2 uses of Amaterasu and a single Kaizuki. I hope the air is sufficiently charged. She held up a hand to the thunder clouds that had gathered in the sky and called out, Raitun Kirin. Suddenly a large dog-like monster made of lightning shot down from the sky and struck the Yamabushi standing in the crater with a monstrous roar. The two covered their eyes as it hit, and after a few moments the dust cleared to reveal a completely unharmed Sasuke. It didn't work, Naruto gritted out. What do we do? Yujito asked him as the two dodged the large spirit swords that Sasuke struck down on where they stood. I have an idea, cover me. Naruto shouted as he charged forward, and the Whirlpool sword flashed into existence. Hi no ya! Yujito called out as she fired off a few arrows at the Yamabushi. You can't win, Dobe, I'm more special than you, Sasuke chuckled as he saw his former teammate approach. You talk too much. Naruto shouted as he got within range and slashed his sword across the Yamabushi. The attack instantly cut through the outer layer of the spirit form and allowed him access. I got you now, team. How did he? Sasuke's eyes widened as he drew his own blade. Futon Hein. Naruto called out as wind chakra formed at his blade's edges. Chidori Nagashi. Sasuke shouted as his own blade cackled with lightning chakra. The Yamabushi dissipated around them as both weapons clashed, sending sparks scattering around them. Naruto twisted slightly and slashed at Sasuke's midsection, only for the Uchiha to parry the blow and elbow him in the face. Naruto parried the next blow by knocking Sasuke's blade to the side and landed a kick to his chest which had considerable force behind it. Sasuke reeled back, still holding his Kusanagi sword in his hand, and glared at the blonde. You can't win here, Sasuke, just stop already, Naruto told him, but they both knew he wouldn't listen. I told you once that only top-class fighters can read each other's minds during combat. We don't need words to understand each other, Dobe, Sasuke stated as he channeled chakra into his fist, and it was engulfed in lightning. You could hear the chirping of 1,000 birds as Sasuke dashed towards him at his top speed. Naruto. Naruto clenched his fist in anger. Is that all we've meant to you? He shot forward also while spinning chakra in his hand. Sasuke. Chidori. They drew closer just a few feet. Rasengan. Closer and closer until they met in the center and shook the earth itself. Shockwaves rippled across the land from the clash of the two monstrous techniques, and lightning discharges shot out in all directions from them. Yujito remained at a safe distance as she watched the two battle for supremacy, but couldn't stop worrying about Naruto as she saw them both straining to hold their respective attacks. The space in between the two fighters seemed to erupt in flames and blew the two back several feet. Naruto rolled across the ground before he finally stopped at the edge of the crater, while Sasuke slammed into the side of the half-destroyed village wall. They both stood a moment later as Yujito dropped down beside Naruto. Are you all right? Yujito asked the Kitsune Sennin. Naruto nodded. Yeah, we have to leave now, Yujito told him. The longer we fight, the more chance that Danzo's goons will show up, she finished. Naruto nodded, not taking his eyes off of the Uchiha. I know, but how do we get away? Shuimpa? Yujito asked him in a whisper. Naruto shook his head in a negative. It won't work for the distance we need. And summons will take too long, Yujito said grimly. Surrender the scroll dobe, you won't leave here alive, Sasuke stated as he readied his weapon once again. Perhaps I can lend a hand, a voice echoed through the air as a figure dropped down in front of the two Sennin. Sai? Naruto asked in surprise upon recognizing the Root Umbu member. Aren't you one of the bad guys right now? You work for Danzo, right? Asked the Kitsune Sennin. Sai shook his head. Not anymore. I am happy now that I am allowed to follow my own path. You were the one who gave me that choice, and for that I thank you. What are you doing here? Yujito asked him confused. I am repaying a debt, nothing more, Sai answered truthfully and turned his attention to Sasuke, whom still hadn't moved. You must go, both of you go now, he said. Your Naruto trailed off. You do realize what will happen if you do this, right? I am a Konoha shinobi. My mission is to safeguard you both and the forbidden scroll of sealing. For that I will lay down my life, Sai stated as he pulled out a paintbrush and sketchbook. Sai, Naruto said, not knowing what to say. Naruto, we need to go now. Yujito shouted as she grabbed his arm, and the two took off, not looking back. Goodbye, Naruto whispered as they ran. This is very foolish of you, sacrificing yourself to stall me like this. Sasuke's eyes bore down on Sai as his Sharingan spun wildly. Maybe, Sai mused. The two stared each other down. I am on my way, brother. They charged, attacked. A moment later, Naruto and Yujito cleared the village wall as they dodged several explosive tags attached to kunai that hit near them. They passed Konoha shinobi and Root Umbu fighting amongst themselves as they ran, including the rest of the Konoha 11, Tsunade, and the Jonin. There are more of them up ahead of us. Yujito shouted as she looked back. What? Naruto shouted and saw that she was indeed correct. There were at least 200 Root Umbu up ahead of them. I see them, Naruto growled as his slitted eyes flashed red for a second. What do we do? Shuimpa? Yujito asked him. Not an option, Naruto told her. How about this then? Katan Daikaizuki. Yujito called out as she sent the long lance-like fire elemental jutsu at them. Let's just say out of the 200 Root Umbu that were there, only 23 remained, with another 4 severely wounded. Kuchios no Jutsu Rei no Nikomata, Yujito called out as she summoned the Cat Princess in a poof of smoke. Kuchios no Jutsu Tsukino no Kitsune, Naruto soon followed by summoning the Fox Princess. Yujito Dano, I see you managed to escape. Rei nodded towards her summoner. The blonde girl climbed onto her back. Yeah, though it was touch and go for a second there, confirmed the Nico Sennin. Naruto-kun, what do you need? Tsukino asked as he climbed on her back. To get us the hell out of here, Naruto told her. Fast or slow? Tsukino asked. Fast, Naruto said as he caught sight of another squad of Root Umbu approaching them from behind. Let's get out of here, Yujito agreed, and the two summoned creature nodded before taking off away from the ruins of the once proud village. Chapter 22 Forced Apart. Lightning Country Kumo Rakich's office. 5 days, 5 long days, that's how long it took to reach the village hidden in the clouds. For both of the Sannin it was a tiring journey, but they finally made it. They had met Team Samui at the border 2 days ago and were told to return to Kumo with them acting as escorts. Throughout it all, Yujito was happy that she would see her grandfather and granduncle again after so long, for she hadn't seen either in months. Little did the two Sannin know what would happen when they finally met the Rakich's grandfather. Yujito said cheerfully as the 5 entered the room. Before anyone could blink, Yujito had crossed the room and the Rakich's embraced her in a hug. Yujito-chan, I'm so glad you're safe. When I received word about your capture, I feared the worst had happened. I'm fine, grandfather, she told him as she pulled away. That's good, you had me worried, the Rakich's said as he sighed in relief. He turned towards the young Namikaze standing in front of Team Samui, and his tone hardened. As for you, what were you thinking hunting for the Akatsuki leader in Konoha of all places? Yujito backed off from him in surprise as Naruto's eyes widened at the enraged Kage. Sir, Naruto tried to say. What you did was reckless and irresponsible. I sent my granddaughter with you so she could get stronger, not so you could fight Akatsuki, the Rakich's spoke in a stern voice. I don't care what your intentions were, you put my granddaughter in danger on more than one occasion. She was going to be executed by Konoha all because you took her there. Maybe it was a mistake sending her with you after all. Gee, grandfather, you can't mean that. Yujito stammered out. Enough, Yujito-chan, the Rakich's said sternly, causing her to quiet down. He turned back to Naruto, whose eyes were now glued to the floor. I'm only going to say this once, so listen well. You are forbidden from ever being in Yujito's presence ever again. Grandfather, please, Don, Yujito stuttered while trying to push down her fear. Fear of losing someone else who mattered to her, I understand. She turned her attention to the Naruto, couldn't bring himself to meet her gaze. Naruto, Yujito said, reaching out a hand towards him. Umbu. The Rakich's grunted and Kumo Umbu appeared in the room on both sides of Naruto. Will you please escort Namikaze-san out of the village? It was phrased as a question, but everyone knew it was an order. Yes, Rakichi-sama, the Umbu said in unison, grabbed hold of Naruto's shoulders while making a hand seal. Shunshin no Jutsu, the three disappeared in a poof of smoke a moment later. After a few moments, what happened finally registered in Yujito's mind, and she began to break down. Team Samui helped her out of the room while trying to comfort her as best they could, leave the Rakich's alone in the room. It looked like it went well, but like any wound, this one might swell, came a voice from the open window. Yes, though I wish I didn't have to hurt Yujito-chan this way. It must be done, the Rakich's said back as he turned and saw his brother. Everything is going just like I planned, he told the Hachibi Jinchuriki. Wave Country, Tazuna's house. I see, so that's what happened, Tazuna sighed upon hearing everything that Naruto had told him. Naruto had just finished explaining the details of what had happened over the past week to the Tazuna and the rest of his family at dinner. Akatsuki, Konoha, pain, and now this. It was just too much to take all at once. So what do you plan to do? The mayor asked him. Naruto just looked at him, unable to answer. What can I do? I can't even go near Yujito without getting killed by Kumo's Umbu. Nissen Inari trailed off looking at his sensei. It took a few moments before Tazuna finally spoke again. Well, I'm afraid only you know what you truly want. I can't tell you what to do, but let me tell you something, kid. Without a reason to fight, then there is no point in fighting. Do you have someone precious to you? Naruto looked away as the memory flashed in his mind and his gaze settled on the large scroll he had beside him on the floor. He shook himself a moment later and asked, Can we talk about something else, please? Tazuna then shook his head and sighed. Well, I heard what happened in Konoha before you came back here, and well, it turns out that the Hokage side won and she managed to kill the other side's leader. Really? That's good, Naruto said, thankful for the first piece of good news he'd had all day. However, Tazuna added reluctantly. She was asked to step down by the Konoha Council following the Civil War, and someone had to be chosen to be the next Hokage. What? Who's the Hokage? Wait, Sasuke, Naruto growled out the last part. Tazuna, however, just chuckled bitterly. No, not him. Apparently, it was your other team made you know that pink-haired girl. Sakura is the Rokudaime Hokage? How? Naruto asked, surprised. Tazuna just grinned at him. Apparently she challenged that Uchiha kid to a fight and won. From what I gathered, she used some kind of power like your sage mode thingy to stand up to him. Has she managed to get my dream job? Naruto smiled sadly at the knowledge. Naruto, I know, Tazuna began. Only for Naruto to climb to his feet and picked up the large scroll beside him. If you don't mind, old man, I want to be alone right now. The mayor of the town just nodded in understanding as Naruto left with the scroll now attached to his back like a former Gama Sennin. Lightning Country Kumo Rakich's office. Any idea why we were called here? Sure asked as he, Darui, and the members of Team Samui entered the empty room. Rakichi-sama is not here, neither is Yujito-sama or Karabi-sensei, Darui commented. That's because they're not coming. Immediately the group turned around to see the Rakichi enter without as much as a sound. My brother is somewhere in the mountains, and Yujito-chan, she's getting ready as we speak, he finished. If I may ask, getting ready for what exactly, Rakichi-sama? Darui inquired calmly. She's at the age now when she needs a husband to settle down with. Naturally, I would only trust the strongest with her safety, so Kumo will be hosting a tournament of sorts for Yujito-chan's hand in marriage, the Rakichi answered, shocking the group. With all due respect, you can't be serious, Rakichi-sama. She would never go along with something like this, Karui asked him, knowing the type of woman the blonde girl was. I am the head of the Atsuki clan, and she is the heir to my clan. Until she becomes the head of the clan, she will follow my orders. She no say in the matter, the man told them. But Karui began only to be cut off. Sure, Darui, only you three will be entering the tournament as well, the Rakichi statement surprised the group. What? Omoi stuttered, surprised. But Rakichi-sama, we Darui began trying to remain calm. Silence. The aged Kage bellowed. You will not be the only ones. Many will be entering the tournament, not only from Kumo, but also representatives from all over the entire shinobi world. That is all there is to it, the Rakichi explained. But Rakichi-sama, please, Rakansi Darui began only to be interrupted again. My word is final, the decision has already been made. The tournament will begin 1 month from now, and you three will be entering it. Wave Country, Tazuna's house. All things considered, Naruto had never felt so alone in his whole life. It had been 3 weeks since he had returned to Wave Country, 3 weeks since he had last seen Yujito. For the most part, he had just seemed to bury himself in his work. The Forbidden Scroll of Sealing was a rather large scroll that he intended to use to its fullest extent. Starting with his father's most noteworthy technique, currently, however, he was sitting on the roof of the house. It was dark since the sun had already set and the moon was out in full, along with the stars above. It was relatively quiet, with nothing other than few chirping crickets that roamed the area. For the Kitsune Sennin, however, it didn't matter. His mind was already drifting back to that blonde girl he'd met so long ago when he started this crazy adventure. Hey kid, how are you doing? The voice from the side brought him out of his thoughts. He didn't move, however, having already known who it was. Are you all right? I'm fine, Naruto replied. Well, that's a lie. Tsunami and Inari are worried about you. Ever since you came back, you've been distant, Tazuna stated as he sat down beside the blonde. It doesn't matter, spoke the blonde. Kid, look at me, Tazuna said as an order, and Naruto turned to face him. Do you love her? He asked with a serious gaze. Yes, Naruto admitted. The mayor of the town nodded at that and asked. Then what do you really want? I want to be with her, Naruto answered finally. Tazuna sighed at that. Then why don't you? Because if I go anywhere near her, I'll be killed, the blonde responded. If that's all you're worried about, then I'm sure I can arrange something, Tazuna said as he let a small smirk appear on his face. What are you up to, you old drunk? Naruto asked as he narrowed his eyes in suspicion. I just heard an interesting rumor is all. Apparently the Rakichi is holding a tournament for Yujito-chan's hand in marriage, the mayor answered knowingly. What? Naruto's outburst echoed throughout the night air as he jumped to his feet. It's true, every country in the world is sending representatives to participate in this tournament in hopes of securing an alliance with Kumo and Lightning Country by having one of their own marry her. It's an interesting situation, Tazuna explained as he stood up as well. Is it her choice? Naruto asked, trying to calm himself. Tazuna scoffed at that. Oh gods, no, she will most likely be married off for the good of her village and country. Naruto remained silent at that as he tried to contemplate what he had just been told. What will you do? Tazuna's question broke him out of his thoughts. What do you think? I'm going to enter the tournament, Naruto answered finally. Tazuna grinned at that and nodded. Then we are agreed, but to do so and not get killed you will need to be Wave Country's representative. Okay, but wouldn't I need the daimyo's permission for something like that? Asked the Kitsune Sennin. Of course, if we had a daimyo, the mayor shrugged at the last part. So how are we going to do this then? Naruto asked, annoyed. I'm going to elect you as the Wave Daimyo, Tazuna replied simply. You're going to what? Naruto asked in disbelief. Elect you as the Wave Daimyo, Tazuna repeated with a grin. I'm sure the people would love it if you took the job. You are after all the hero of Wave, so I'm sure they won't mind, he finished. It took a full 20 seconds for Naruto to recover from this piece of information. You're serious? Tazuna nodded again, still grinning. Dead serious, will you accept? Naruto didn't respond as his mind was racing with images of Yujito and the months they had spent together. This may be your only chance to be with the one you love. Are you really going to walk away from that? Tazuna asked him seriously. No, I'm not, Naruto finally answered. Then what do you say? Tazuna asked with a nod. I think it's about time for me to return to Kumo. Of course, Daimyo-sama, spoke the mayor. Chapter 23. Enter the Maelstrom. Lightning Country Kumo Thunder Arena. It had been a full month since the tournament was announced to the world, and participants from all over the elemental countries had come to fight and prove that they were best suited to marry the Raikage granddaughter. Most of them hadn't even signed their names, since half of them would be eliminated in the preliminary rounds anyways, and so their names would not be made known. To enter, you just had to write down what your job was, where you were from, and your social standing. This also held true for one Namikaze Naruto. No one knew he was there since he was simply known as the Wave Daimyo, and he was simply overlooked by the Kumo Umbu in the area. For the past 2 months, Ni Yujito, or Yatsuki Yujito, as she was truly known, as had spent most of her time thinking back on her adventures with the man who stole her heart. The one she had not seen since that fateful day. She wanted to be with him, but knew she couldn't, not as things were now. Looking down from her place in the central observation box, which loomed over the arena, she couldn't help but feel helpless as the last of her freedom was slowly being taken away from her. That's when the preliminary rounds began. Welcome all to the Tournament of Thunder. I am your host, Yu, and the preliminary rounds will begin momentarily. Boomed a voice across the enormous stadium from the arena's center. Yujito sat uncomfortably in her seat beside her grandfather and granduncle. Her eyes drifted down to the collection of combatants below in the arena. There were easily 50 of them, though this was just one group. There were 24 separate groups, and each of them had about 50 participants in them each. Now, as you are well aware, these preliminary rounds will be several large-scale matches where the last one standing will qualify for the tournament proper, which will be held this time next week. To protect the crowd from stray attacks, containment seal barriers have been placed on the ground, on the walls, and even the air above the stadium. I shall demonstrate, you explained before flinging a kunai with an explosive tag attached to it at the audience. It bounced off of an invisible barrier and exploded, but looked like it had detonated on a wall since it didn't reach the crowd. As you can see, you are all completely safe. Naruto grinned, though it went unnoticed by the combatants standing beside him. That's good. I don't have to worry about hitting the crowd now. I just hope I can do this. Now the first match will begin momentarily, as is custom here. Only those who manage to make it onto the next round will be allowed to have their names known to not only the crowd, but also the other participants. Now everyone get ready, you said as an order, and the 50 combatants, Naruto included, shot away from each other, trying to put some distance between each other. The Tournament of Thunder begins now. She jumped out of the stadium and the barriers went back up the moment she was out. Almost instantly the various ninja in the arena began attack one another in hopes that they may prevail. When he first came here he never expected something like this, but he supposed he should have expected as much. Naruto was pulled out of his thoughts as a large man covered in black marking which he identified as a cursed seal appeared in front of him readying to attack. The strike came faster than the eye could see. Up in the central box sat a highly disturbed Yujito, grandfather. I don't want to do this. There are people down there fighting to marry me. I don't want that. The Rikichi turned his head towards her and spoke plainly. They are doing this for you, Yujito-chan. I will only trust your care to strongest of them. I am not weak, Yujito growled with her eyes flashing purple for just a second. The Rikichi saw this and nodded. That may be true, but you must be married. You've known for quite a while now that you would be married off as part of alliance between countries. Political marriage, yes I know, the Nico Sennin muttered bitterly. It doesn't mean I have to like it. Your mother didn't like it either, but she loved your father with all her heart. I'm sure you will love whoever you are married to as well, the Rikichi said knowingly. Don't count on it, Yujito grunted in annoyance. A sudden explosion from down below drew the attention of the two as dirt was blown upwards. What was that? Someone who should not be here, the Rikichi said with a small frown. Down the stadium the only one left standing was the Odo Nin. He was laughing with his cursed seal still activated. Ha 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 ha, it looks like I was too much for him, yeah. Damn, that cursed seal of yours caught me off guard. I never expected to see one here, a voice said from beside him. What? You. But I know I just hit you. The Odo Nin shouted in disbelief at seeing the unharmed wave daimyo. Naruto chuckled a little at that. No, you hit me all right. I was careless. Why, you're kidding me. The Odo Nin shouted in surprise as he backed away slightly. Too slow, faster than the eye could see. Naruto had buried his fist into the man's stomach, sending him spinning backwards. Rasengan, he whispered as the Odo Nin hit the stadium wall with an echoing impact. Well, what's this? Major upset, Yu's voice echoed her thoughts as she dropped down into the arena and walked to where Naruto was standing. Up in the audience, Omoi stared down at the man who had won the match without as much as a single injury. He turned to Karui and asked, Hey, doesn't he look an awful lot like? Yes, he does. Karui nodded, knowing what he was referring to. Hello there, may I have a word with the winner, please? Yu asked him as she approached. The wave daimyo turned and nodded. Yes, can I please ask who you are? His voice echoed throughout the stadium. I am the new daimyo of Wave Country. Yu nodded. Of course, daimyo-sama. She smiled and handed him the microphone. And your name? He looked at her for a moment. My name. He turned towards the crowd, or more specifically the central observation box. My name Namake's Naruto. Silence reigned in the stadium for a full 10 seconds. Yu shook herself out of her stupor and asked, Namake's? As in the same name as the yellow flash of Konoha, Namake's Minato? Now that I get a good look at you, you do look like him, a lot like him. He nodded. Are you related to him? I'm his son, the Kitsune Sennin, Naruto answered with a grin. That idiot, what is he doing here? More importantly, why is he painting a big bullseye on his ass? Yujito growled in thought as she saw him stare up at her. Is there anything else you needed to know? Naruto asked the announcer. Yu shook her head. No, I think that's everything. Then I will take my leave, said the Kitsune Sennin as he turned towards the exit and shifted the forbidden scroll on his back slightly. Things were about to get very complicated. Lightning Country Kumo Thunder God Hotel. Naruto was standing in his hotel room looking out of the window at the village before his eyes. Night had fallen on the village hidden in the clouds, and Naruto smiled at seeing that even though he wasn't exactly on friendly terms with them, Kumo was still relatively untouched by the hatred of the outside world. His coat was on the couch behind him along with the forbidden scroll of sealing. He had absolutely refused to leave it in Wave Country, and for damn good reason. If anyone found out about it, they would launch a full-scale attack on Wave Country just to get the scroll. Glad that my chakra control has improved. Now I don't have to worry about the scroll being damaged when I use Rasengan, he thought, remembering the preliminary round he had fought earlier that day. Knock knock. The wave daimyo turned at the sound and looked towards the door. Who is it? It's us. Let us in, came Omoe's voice from the other side. Come on in, Naruto said, and the door opened, allowing Team Samui, Sure, and Darui to enter. Hey man, it's good to see you, Omoe said with a nod. You two where's Yujito? Naruto asked, having not seen at all since the preliminaries. Just then Yujito entered the room wearing her normal cloths, without her coat on. Oh hey Yujito. How have you been? You reckless idiot, she said as she smacked him upside the head. Naruto winced from the hit and took a step back. Hey, what was that for? That was for being stupid enough to enter my grandfather's stupid tournament. She growled at him. Well, excuse me for want to be W. He wasn't able to finish, however, as she pulled his lips to hers. The kiss lasted for a good 15 seconds until they finally broke apart. And what was that for exactly? She smiled up at him. That was for coming back. Halo 3 ODST. I've been waiting for that for a while. A sudden exaggerated cough came from their side, and they noticed that the others in the room were standing rather amused. As much fun it is to see you both making out. Could you please explain to us how you are even allowed in the village like this? Karui asked and shot a grin at the now blushing Yujito. Naruto laughed nervously. It's funny story actually. Samui's gaze was neutral. How so, Daimyo-sama? Hey, I got offered position as the daimyo of Wave when I heard about the tournament. According to a friend of mine called Tazuna, he's the mayor of Nami Town. He said that marriage tournaments forego any kind of laws that require two people to stay away from each other, answered the Kitsune Sennin. He shrugged and continued, I figured I had nothing to lose, and so here I am. That's one hell of a risk though. If you lose the tournament, Reikage-sama has full authorization to kill you, Omoe stated. Naruto nodded at that. I already know. But I'm not planning on losing this tournament. Naruto Yujito trailed off as she looked at him. He turned towards her and laughed nervously. I know this isn't exactly how you would want things, Yujito, but if I do win the tournament, would you marry me? She buried her face in his chest and laughed slightly. You idiot. Do you even have to ask? Of course I will marry you. You still have us to contend with. Don't expect us to go easy on you, Namikaze-san, Sure pointed out, and both Darui and Omoe nodded with him. Naruto nodded, but his grin never left his face. I know. In fact, I hope you don't hold back. I'm counting on you going all out. What about Reikage-sama? He won't take you entering the tournament lightly. He might try to get you eliminated, Samui said, getting their attention. Naruto's grin widened as his eyes flashed red. I want him to try. Lightning Country, Kumo Market District. For days had passed since he had come to Kumo, and Naruto was walking the streets of the village. He got surprised looks from those around him, but he was used to people staring at him, so it didn't bother him. His mind, however, kept on drifting to what Pain had told him after the Battle of Pain, as it was being called. Flashback no Jutsu began. Listen carefully, Naruto. There is someone you must watch out for. He is a very powerful shinobi. He is almost without equal, he told the blonde. Naruto nodded. I already know. The Akatsuki member, the one with the mask, he said, surprising the Akatsuki leader and his partner. Nagato nodded slowly. His name is Uchiha Madara, and he is the Sandai Mizukage. Flashback no Jutsu and Madara, my mom, dad, and even Nagato said you were strong. I don't know if I can defeat you, but I will. That's a promise, Naruto swore in thoughts. Tsuchi Shigure, Naruto bolted to the side, narrowly evading a hail of fast-moving rocks raining down from above. Everyone in the marketplace stopped as a figure landed a moment later and the rocks rose off the ground a moment later, so you were able to dodge it. Who the hell are you? Naruto said, and caught sight of the Hitai the man wore. I am Shinji of Iwagakure no Sato. I have come to answer the call of the Yellow Flash. Shinji spoke as the rocks around him began to spin around in a circle. Great, so my dad kicked your ass and now you want to take it out on me? Asked the Kitsune Sennin. He'd known this was going to happen. After all, this was the reason his real name had been hidden for so long. We can't fight here. Correction, you can't. I can. He thrust out his hand towards the blonde. The rocks suddenly accelerated towards the blonde at incredible speeds. Tsuchi Shigure. Futon Rasen, Naruto whispered as he created a plate of chakra in front of him to deflect the attack. Suddenly the ground burst upwards behind him, and he backflipped out of the way as Earth itself tried to impale him with long lances. He's controlling the Earth itself? Is this some kind of jutsu? It's over. Rocks were lifted high into the air by a seemingly invisible force and morphed into the shape of several extremely large swords. Tsuchi no Tsurugi, the Iwa Nin said simply, and the blades fell towards him. The massive swords crashed down hard on where Naruto was standing. Several shops were also destroyed, though people had already evaluated them when the fight had begun. Shinji observed his handiwork with a seemingly cold indifference before nodding when there was no sign that the Namake's boy had survived. That boy must have been a nobody. What a waste of my time, he thought, and turned away. Sage mode activated. Only to stop when he felt a shockwave wash over him. Just where the hell do you think you're going? You challenged me, remember? You should at least stay until it's over, coward. Why do you even want me anyway? Naruto growled as he stepped out from behind the giant stone swords with the pupils in his eyes narrowed into vertical slits. Shinji turned and answered plainly, your father killed my brother during the war. I may not have gotten the chance to kill him, but I can do the next best thing and kill you. Let's see how he will like losing a family member. You know the pain of loss, and you are working for your justice just the same as I do for mine. People are driven to revenge in the name of justice, and so it becomes a chain of hatred, never-ending hatred, pain that never heals. That is war. That is what you must face. Naruto remained silent for a moment as the memories came to him. Tell me. Do you have someone precious to you? Shinji looked at him, confusion on his face. Not that it matters, but no, I don't. Your father made sure of that. Naruto nodded in understand. Then you are lost. Suddenly he disappeared in a flash of yellow, Shuenpa no Jutsu. He's a yellow flash too. The Iwa Nin's reflexes kicked in and he turned swiftly just in time to evade the punch aimed for his face. Futon Rasenkin, Naruto whispered as his fist sailed past Shinji's face. Suddenly Shinji's face was sliced clean off by what appeared to be pure wind, though a moment later his body turned to stone and dissolved. You used the Kawarimi no Jutsu with an earth clone. He almost had me with that last attack. If I hadn't pulled Kawarimi no Jutsu when I did, I'd be nothing more than a stain on the ground. I'd better keep my distance so I don't get caught by his jutsu, Shinji thought from down the street. Naruto suddenly formed a hand seal and two shadow clones popped into existence beside him. Now what is he doing? Naruto turned towards him and held out his hand as the clones started pouring in their chakra and wind elemental power. A bell-like screech echoed through the marketplace as the ball of chakra in his hand suddenly formed four small wind blades around its surface. Holding the jutsu up, the wind blade expanded, taking the shape of a large shuriken. It becomes a chain of hatred. Futon Rasen Shuriken. Naruto called out as he threw the jutsu straight at Iwa Nin. Shinji's eyes widened as he tried to evade it, only for it to expand when it got close enough. He was consumed in the sphere of wind and power as he was ripped apart. He didn't even get a chance to scream before the sphere exploded and he wiped all traces of him from existence. Love breeds hatred. Am I being selfish? He asked the now empty street. Chapter 24, The Gateway. Lightning Country Kumo Thunder Arena. So you're the Yellow Flash's brat? I'm surprised you're still alive, taunted his opponent. He appeared to be a man from Kiri, judging by his hitai and the fact that he was holding a rather large sword at his side. You won't survive here, however. Naruto just tapped the back of his hand and his blade appeared in a flash of light. His opponent never stood a chance. 5 minutes later, Naruto stood over his unconscious opponent, whose sword was now broken in two. Naruto clutched the sword of the whirlpool in his hand and tapped the back of his hand, causing it to return to the spiral seal placed there. Winner Namake's Naruto. You called out to the crowd across the now silent arena as Naruto turned to leave. With 7 straight victories and not a single scratch on him, Naruto-sama appears unstoppable in this tournament. Once he had made it out of the arena and into the hallway, he passed Darui, who stood leaning on the wall. So you won? It wasn't a question. Of course, were you betting on my opponent? Naruto asked him. Darui shook his head. I bet on you this means I'm your last opponent. Naruto stopped and turned towards him, and Reikage-sama has given me orders to use whatever means necessary to stop you in this tournament, Darui continued. Naruto just chuckled and turned away. It doesn't matter. He continued walking until he was out of sight. I will win. The next match came sooner than either of them wanted, and they both stood facing each other in the arena. They both nodded towards each other and readied their weapons, knowing that this match would be an intense one. Let the 24th match of Tournament of Thunder begin. You called out as she jumped out of the arena. The two walked around each other, making sure to keep their distance, though they never broke eye contact. Naruto shot forward almost instantly as his sword flashed into his hand. Darui jumped away, however, and started forming hand seals. He's trying to keep me at a distance. Naruto caught on and made a hand seal of his own. Kage Bunshin no Jutsu, 5 clones instantly popped into existence beside him and they charged together. Suetun Suijin Hiki, Darui whispered before he spewed out a large batch of water which formed into a wall. When the clones and Naruto hit the wall, Darui finished making another set of hand seals, Raitun Kengekiha. Lightning sparked inside of the water wall and destroyed the clones while blasting Naruto clear of it. Darui was already moving by the time Naruto's body hit the floor and unfolded his own personal sword. Once in range, he brought the weapon up and slashed down on where Naruto lay in hopes of ending the match early. When the blow hit, dust was blown upwards and obscured the two from the view of the crowd. It died down a moment later, however, and the two could clearly be seen in the middle of a small crater. Naruto was sitting down in the center of the crater and holding the sword by the blade like it was nothing. Impossible to be able to hold a weapon infused with the lightning element is unheard of. Wait, what is that? Darui asked in thought as he saw the spinning chakra around the hand which held back the weapon. It will take more than that to break through Rasengan, Naruto said with a grin. He pushed upwards, forcing Darui to retreat to a safe distance, though you did catch me off guard with that little move of yours. Close combat is suicide against someone like him. I'd better stick to long range, Darui thought as he started forming hand seals. Once he finished, he held out his hands together and called out, Rantun Raiza Sakasu. Futon Rasen, Naruto said as he held up a hand and a spinning plate of chakra formed in front of him. The beams of light impacted the chakra shield and appeared to splash across it like water. Shuunpa no Jutsu, and a flash of yellow light, Naruto appeared behind where Darui stood. Damn it, the Kumonin thought as he turned. Rasengan, Naruto whispered as he drove the spiraling sphere of chakra into the man's gut. Darui was blown back by the attack and sent crashing into the stadium wall, a mighty explosion. Naruto stood, his arm still extended away from him as his gaze never left the dust that had gathered from the impact. The dust cleared and Darui could be seen leaning with his back against the wall and bleeding from his stomach area and his back. He collapsed forward from exhaustion or pain. He didn't know. Naruto lowered his arm upon seeing this and nodded towards the announcer. Winner Namake's Naruto. You called out to the crowd as medics came in to recover Darui's fallen body. Is he dead? The announcer asked, a bit worried. Naruto shook his head at her. I didn't use that much chakra, so he should be all right by tomorrow. Oh well, whatever, you said, dismissing the whole ordeal. Naruto looked up towards the observation box and spotted Yujito sitting staring at him while trying to keep her features neutral. He winked at her with one of his foxy grins, and she smiled back with a nod. When he turned to leave, however, things became complicated. Excuse me, Naruto-sama, but it is not yet over, you said, getting his attention. He turned to look at her. What do you mean? I won the tournament, right? That means I can finally ask Yujito to marry me. You shook her head. That is true, but if you remember, Yujito-sama is a clan heir, and so it is the will of the clan head to decide who is allowed to marry her. Up in the central observation box, Yujito turned her head to look at her grandfather, but found that he kept his features calm and collected. He paid her gaze no heed as he instead kept his eyes locked on the two in the arena. What do you mean? Naruto asked, narrowing his eyes. To be allowed to marry the heir of the Atsuki clan, you will have to face and defeat Yujito-sama's next of kin, you answered. Naruto gulped slightly. And who might that be? Reikage-sama, of course. Lightning Country Kumo Reikage Tower. What the hell is this about, old man? What the hell is your problem with me? Naruto asked in a shout. The Reikage just sat behind his desk staring at the blonde with an almost unreadable expression on his face. Well, answer me, damn it. I do not need to explain myself to you, boy. The rules dictate that the only way for you to wed Yujito-chan is by defeating me. That's all there is to it, the Reikage stated clearly. Naruto steeled himself and asked, why? When he got no reply, he narrowed his eyes. You wouldn't do something like this without a reason, so what is it? The Reikage smirked at him. My motives are no concern of yours. What about you? Why are you here anyways? Is it because of Yujito-chan, or is it something else? Naruto remained quiet, so he continued as his smirk lengthened. Do you have someone you wish to fight? Your eyes reek of a chakra far fouler than my own. It reminds me of Uchiha Madara. The Reikage saw him tense and continued. It looks like you do from the look in your eye. Hey, it doesn't matter. If you want to marry Yujito-chan, then you'll have to go through me, Daimyo Dano. I won't back down or go easy on you. I didn't against your parents, and I won't against you. My parents? Naruto asked as leveled a glare at the man behind the desk. The Reikage just nodded with his grin still present. I fought them both once. I'm probably the only guy who's survived an encounter with both of them, and I will tell you this. I may not have been able to beat them, but I was able to force a draw. Naruto trailed off as he stared at the man. I'm your gateway to that grand stage, kid, the Reikage chuckled. Let's do this, Namikaze, he said in finality. Naruto glared one more time before turning away. Fine, I'll just have to beat you then. You're welcome to try, boy, the Reikage said with a grin. Naruto didn't say anything as he left, so how did it go? Sure asked as Naruto exited the office. The Kitsune Sennin shook his head. Nothing. He wouldn't even tell me why he was doing this or what's in it for him. Well, the match isn't scheduled until next month, so at least you have some time, Karui said, trying to lighten the mood. Sure just shook his head. Reikage-sama is the strongest shinobi in Kumo. He won't be easily defeated, Daimyo-sama. I know, where's Yujito? Naruto asked, not seeing her in the group. Samui was the one who responded. I saw her take off earlier after the announcement. I think she's up on Cloud Peak, but I'm not sure. Naruto nodded and turned to leave. I need to talk to her. The match will be held in the Valley of Lightning, so watch yourself, Omoi told him as the blonde left. Lightning Country Cloud Peak. Cloud Peak was the mountain which towered over all of the rest in the area. It was even larger than the mountain Kumo was located on and was mostly covered in snow and ice. Throughout her childhood, Yatsuki Yujito would always come up to this mountain where the earth met the heavens, and she could gaze out over the vast amount of land in every direction. Sadly, her thoughts weren't on the view. Grandfather, why would you do this? She asked in thought, but received no answer. Her legs hung over the edge of the cliff in the mountain wall near the top, and she eyes never left the far horizon where the sun would set in a matter of minutes. Her mother had been in very much the same situation as the young woman found herself in right now. During her teenage years, her mother Yatsuki Usagi had married her father Takamichi Daisuke after he had bested every other man that wanted her hand in marriage. Originally, they hadn't been in love. In fact, they hated each other, but they eventually couldn't force themselves away from each other. Mom, what would you do right now? The Nico Sennin thought as she saw the sun begin to set on the horizon. Hey Yujito, a voice called from behind her, and she turned her head slightly to the side. Naruto approached her a moment later. I've been looking all over for you. Yujito turned her head back to the lookout again and said, Why? What do you mean, why? I wanted to talk to you, he said as he sat down beside her. Yujito shook her head at that. No, I mean, why are you going this far for me? You mean the tournament? She nodded at his question. Because I can't live without you, he told her. Yujito remained silent as she smiled. I read up on your grandfather. His record is amazing, Naruto said with a sigh. Yujito chuckled slightly. Yeah, from what I read, he was and still is one of the strongest shinobi in the world. When he was younger during the Third Great Shinobi War, he has been said to have defeated and killed over 300 Suna shinobi single-handed. Naruto shook his head as thought over what he had learned about the man. The Nico Sannin nodded at that. I know grandfather also fought your father and mother to a standstill, right? How did you know? He was honestly didn't expect her to know that detail. Karabi-sensei told me a long time ago, he said, that no one was ever able to stand up against grandfather before Namake's Minato, Yujito responded. Naruto stared at her for a few long moments before he asked, do you think I can do it? When I mean? Yes, I believe in you, but Yujito clenched her fists. I don't want either of you to get hurt, she finished finally. Naruto just looked down and chuckled slightly at that. Hey. Thanks for the concern, Yujito, but I don't need it. I'll win, and that's a promise. She looked up at him and her voice seemed to catch in her throat. You and I never go back on my word. He spoke as he raised his eyes to look at her again. Now come on, we should be heading back, he finished with a smile. All right, Yujito nodded as she stood. They left the mountain just as the sun finally set on the horizon and the world was consumed in shadow of night. Lightning Country Kumo Reikage Mansion. It was late when the two made it to the mansion and the streets were still buzzing with activity. Mostly people drinking, partying, and generally having a good time. After taking a detour to avoid the crowds, they finally arrived at their destination. Yujito reached the door and turned around. Well, thanks for walking me home, Naruto. Hey, it's no problem at all. I mean, what was I supposed to do? Just leave you to walk here by yourself? Not a chance, Naruto said and took a mock bow. Good night, fair princess, he said, trying to play the role. Yujito just chuckled, idiot. Yeah, I know, he shrugged as he stood straight again. I'd better be going by, Yujito, he said as he took a step away from the mansion only to be pulled around and have a pair of lips attach themselves to his. He settled into the kiss after a second and soon started returning it. After a few they broke apart and she smiled up at him. Good night, Naruto, she said as she stepped back. Good night, Yujito, Naruto said as he saw her enter the mansion and close the door behind her. I'd better get out of here before the old man comes. He turned to leave and started towards the street again. Yo, you should really watch your surroundings or you might get caught up in a number of misunderstandings, a voice rapped from the side. Naruto turned towards the newcomer and caught a glimpse of him in the moonlight. He wore a Kumo Hitai and appeared to have dark skin like the Reikage. He also had a tattoo in the shape of a horn on his cheek as well as a collecting of swords strapped to his back. Who the hell are you? Naruto asked, though it sounded more like a demand. I am the man who floats like a butterfly and stings like a killer bee, the man seemed to sing the words. His voice dropped into its rapping style the next moment, however. I'm here to offer you help to defeat my brother, that's if you don't consider me a bother. Naruto's sword flashed into his hand. Your brother is the Reikage? But of course, and believe me, he won't show you any remorse. How about you come with me? After all, who better to train you than another Jinchuriki? Karabi asked with a wide grin. Chapter 25 Flying Thunder God. Lightning Country Storm Cloud Ravine. Where the hell is he? Yujito shouted as she, Sure, Darui and the members of Team Samui arrived at the Hachibi Jinchuriki's home. He's long gone. Yo said he had to go back to Wave, so Karabi shrugged as he leaned back in his chair. Would you stop your infernal rapping at a time like this? His match starts in 10 minutes. If he's not there, he forfeits. Yujito yelled. Karabi just waved his hands dismissively. He'll be here. Just ask his summon over there. He nodded towards a large human-sized toad which appeared to be sleeping. Yujito instantly recognized it and marched over to its sleeping form. Not bothering to be gentle, she smacked the creature upside the head, causing it to jerk awake. Hey, what was that for? The toad whined. Why isn't Naruto here, Arogama? Yujito's voice sounded menacing even though she wasn't using her Biju's chakra or her own killing intent. Gamakichi laughed nervously. Well, he said he needed more room to train, so he headed back to Wave Country 2 weeks ago. Yujito's glare didn't lighten. And how does he plan on getting back in time? The toad pulled out a large scroll from seemingly nowhere. With this. What's that? Karui asked, stepping up to see the scroll. A reverse summoning scroll, it's handy for getting to places, Gamakichi said with grin. He laid the scroll out on the ground. Now everyone please step back. They all took a step away as the toad finished making hand seals, I'm not even sure how that's possible, and slammed his webbed digits down on the scroll. Gyaku Kuchios no Jutsu, he said as the scroll burst into a cloud of smoke blocking all view of the area. The Kumo Nins coughed slightly as the smoke cleared and they could see a figure standing in the center of it. Or should I say they tried to see who it was. He was covered in a constantly spinning current of chakra and wind which blocked his entire body from being seen. His eyes were still visible, but they were blue with an outline of red at its edges. After a moment the wind and chakra died down as his eyes returned to their normal shade of ocean blue. Gamakichi just grinned at him, so how'd it go in Wave Bro? Naruto shot him one of his grins and answered, I've done just about everything within my power. No matter who I'm facing, I feel like I can beat just about anything right now, well, anything besides Reikage-sama. I can't decide whether he's talking tough or not, Karui muttered. For Naruto that's some statement, Omoi agreed. Gamakichi gave the Wave Daimyo a look and asked, Hey bro, where's the forbidden scroll you had on you when you left? I left it with Giratora before I left, Naruto replied. Come on, your match starts soon, you don't want to be late, Samui said as she turned away and started walking. Kirabi stood up and grinned, Hey kid. Do you really think you can win? I mean, my brother won't be taken down so easily. Naruto just sent him a grin worthy of a fox. You'll just have to watch the match if you want to find out, Mr. 8. Kirabi just smirked at that. Now that does sound promising. Let's go already, Yujito said as she grabbed Naruto's hand. Lightning Country Valley of Lightning. The Valley of Lightning was a large canyon situated between two large mountains north of Kumo. The canyon itself was enormous, stretching for over 100 miles. The clear sky above allowed the sun's rays to scatter across the land, giving it a look of deceptive tranquility. Thousands of people from all over the elemental countries had gathered on the nearby mountains to watch the coming match that would shake the fountains of the Lightning Country. The leader of Kumo, the Reikage, stood in the center of this grand arena. With his calm visage and neutral look, he appeared somewhat bored, though to anyone who knew him personally they would have seen the anxiety in his eyes. A sudden flash of yellow light caught his attention and he looked up at where it originated. Sorry, I got lost on the road of life, Naruto said offhandedly as the wind around him started to pick up slightly. So you came after all, huh? Good to see you, kid. Shall we begin then? The Reikage asked with a grin slipping across his face. Naruto's gaze turned serious at that. Not yet, I need to ask you something. The Reikage raised an eyebrow at that as he continued, I've found another reason to fight you. If I manage to defeat you here, will you acknowledge me as having reached the level of my parents? The Reikage's grin widened at that. Sure kid, if you beat me. But if that's what you want, then I suppose it would only be fitting to tell you my name. My name is Yatsuki Rikiya, and I am the Yondaime Reikage. Well then, there was a flash of light as the Whirlpool sword appeared in Naruto's hand. Let's go wild, he declared and dashed forward. Let the final match begin. You called out to the crowd. Shuunpa no Jutsu, Naruto closed the distance between them in an instant and slashed with his sword. So this is his famous Shuunpa no Jutsu, impressive, but I can already see its weakness, Rikiya smirked as he narrowly evaded. You have to do better than that, kid, he said as he kept evading the following strikes. And you shouldn't underestimate me, Futon Hein. Wind chakra formed a white blade of friction over sword. He's upgraded the sword of the Whirlpool with his wind element? Hey, not bad, kid, but still not good enough. Rikiya's smirk spread into a grin as he started channeling lightning chakra to his hand. Rai no Tsurugi, he said as a blade of lightning formed in his right hand. His reflexes are too good. Shuunpa is useless against someone like him, Naruto thought as he parried the Reikage's first and second sword strike. His Kenjutsu is good, but Kushina's was better, the Reikage thought as the two broke apart. Kenjutsu is no good against him, Naruto thought as pointed the sword towards his opponent. This isn't going to be easy, he thought grimly. Rikiya chuckled slightly as if reading the blonde's thoughts. Since you're going to go all out, I might as well cut loose too. Trust me, you'll want to dodge this. He started forming hand seals faster than anyone could see. Cho Udama Raikyu. A huge ball of electricity, at least the size of his own body, formed in his hand, and he threw it towards Naruto. Catch. Naruto watched as it came and felt something he hadn't felt since awakening after his fight with pain. Clarity. He knew what he had to do. There was no catch. It was just him and his opponent. In that moment, a shadow clone popped into existence beside him and pulled him out of the way faster than the eye could see. Once he touched back down on the ground, he quickly flash-stepped behind where the Raikage stood. Rukia turned quickly, his superior reflexes kicking in, and parried the horizontal slash. Instead of breaking off like before, however, Naruto kept going and with the aid of his wind elemental chakra managed to cut through the sword of lightning in one swift stroke. The Raikage saw this and quickly backed off, knowing that taking a direct hit from that blade would bring down even a man of his caliber. "You're not bad, kid. There aren't too many who can cut through a sword made of pure lightning manipulation. Even fewer are still alive." The Raikage spoke with a grin and tossed the destroyed sword aside. "Then I'll just have to be one of the ones who've lived, huh?" Naruto said with a grin of his own. A moment later, the sword he held disappeared in a flash of light, and he let out a heavy breath. He closed his eyes and silence claimed the canyon. What's he doing? The Raikage narrowed his eyes as he felt the air around him change slightly. Sage mode activated. Rukia suddenly felt a weak but wide shockwave wash over him as Naruto opened his eyes, revealing that the pupils were now narrowed into vertical slits. So that's the famous Fox Sage mode of Namake's Naruto, the Raikage thought. He quickly formed a hand seal that was all too familiar to him, Kage Bunshin no Jutsu. Four clones popped into existence beside him and the Raikage was instantly on his guard. "All right, let's do this." "What's he planning?" Rukia watched as the four clones started channeling large amounts of chakra into Naruto's two hands. "That must be his original jutsu. I remember seeing him use it in the tournament earlier." He jumped back, intent on putting some distance between the two of them. "Futon Suin Raisin Shuriken," Naruto called out as he threw the pair of chakra shurikens at the Raikage. How can he throw something so quick, spinning, and condensed? If even one of those hit, I'll be done for. Rukia thought briefly and channeled chakras to his hands. Suin Udama Raikyu, he threw two larger than normal lightning balls to intercept the approaching shuriken. The forces of lightning and wind collided with each other, forcing the chakra shurikens to detonate prematurely and expand into all-consuming balls of wind and destruction. Two loud thumps echoed across the canyon as both balls of wind exploded in a blast of nature, sending dust scattering in all directions. He can expand them too, even if they're intercepted, the Raikage realized and looked around for the blonde in the midst of the dust cloud. A flicker of light from above caught his attention, and he looked up, seeing Naruto there and holding a pair of scrolls. Are those weapon scrolls? Wait, does that mean that last attack was just a distraction so he could get them ready? He's smarter than he lets on, this kid. Taju Fuin Kai, Naruto called out as he unsealed the two scrolls. Almost instantly, a large volley of kunai erupted from the scrolls and a massive poof of smoke. They fell quickly to the ground as the Raikage evaded them. Some did hit him, but they appeared to just bounce off him, leaving no damage and fall harmlessly to the ground. Rukia watched as the kunai around him began to glow, and his eyes widened in realization. These kunai, there's no way he could have. He was cut off, however. Hirashin no Jutsu, there was a flash of yellow light as Naruto landed a monstrous punch to the Raikage's face, sending him flying back. Damn it, so he really did master it, Rukia thought, and Naruto appeared above him the next instant, ready to hit him. You're not half bad, kid, Rukia said as he sent an uppercut at Naruto, only to meet empty air. Naruto was behind him now with his fist at the ready. A split second later, the Raikage swung an arm back, aiming to strike at Naruto before he could attack. Again, it met empty air and Naruto appeared in front of him again. What? He's even faster now. He must be using his Shuinpa no Jutsu to augment it, Rukia realized as his fist smashed down on where Naruto was standing, only for him to appear behind the Raikage a moment later. Hold still! Rukia shouted. The ground around them exploded from his impact. Not a chance! The blonde shouted back as he attacked from almost every direction. What exactly is going on here? Is this an illusion? The blows just keep coming and coming seemingly without end. Rikage-sama is engulfed in a torrent of light as the Kitsune Sennin batters him from all sides, and he can do nothing but stand there and take it. Yu exclaimed as she watched awestruck at the scene before her. Go Naruto! Omoi shouted. Hey, shouldn't we be rooting for Rikage-sama? I mean, we are Kumo Ninja, right? Karui asked as she looked at her teammate. Omoi just shrugged. Good point, but I don't care. Grandfather Naruto Yujito didn't know what to think as she watched the fight continue. That is some speed, ugh, Rukia thought as he was knocked into the sky by one of Naruto's monstrous kicks to the stomach. The next moment Naruto threw out a Hiraishin kunai at the air right above him. That can't be good. Hiraishin no Jutsu, there was yet another flash of yellow light as Naruto appeared above him and his whole body covered in raging winds. Futon Rasengan! He called out as he landed a monstrous punch to the Rikage gut. Rukia was blown down and crashed hard into the as a plate of spinning chakra formed under Naruto to keep him in the air. I hit him and then some. I even used the Futon Rasengan, but I wasn't really doing any real damage. It was like I was trying to punch pain back in Konoha. I just can't inflict any lasting damage on the guy, Naruto thought as he saw the dust clear to reveal an unharmed Rikage lying down in the middle of a small crater. Flashback no Jutsu begin go in there with the intent to kill, and you might just be able to pay the bill, Karabi told him during the training. Flashback no Jutsu in Naruto narrowed his eyes at the memory of his training over the month. I hope this works. He started channeling large amounts of chakra to his hands as he jumped off. Here I come. This is it. Rukia's eyes widened slightly. Crap. His body tensed as Naruto drew near. Raitun no Yoroi. Cho Udama Rasengan. Naruto called out as he landed the large ball of spinning energy. A massive explosion rocked the entire canyon as the jutsu detonated and reduced the nearby mountainside to a crater. Trees were blown away, but thankfully everyone who was watching was outside of the blast zone, so they weren't injured because of it. The dust cleared a few seconds later and revealed the form of the Rikage on one knee groaning in pain. Man, okay, that hurt. Any ordinary ninja would have been blown to pieces by a thing like that. Not pulling any punches, are you kid? Rukia asked with a groan as he shook his head to get rid of the slight dizziness he had. I'm not done yet, Naruto said from behind him. The Rikage turned quickly, but he was already too late. Futon Kamikaze no Jutsu. You're kidding. Rukia thought, hopefully only to blown into the ground by a monstrous tornado of wind and air. He hit the ground hard, sending a dust cloud into the air as he went, followed by the tail end of the tornado. Naruto kept the jutsu going for another 5 seconds before cutting his chakra and letting the jutsu die out. Silence settled on the battlefield as Naruto landed feet first on solid smooth terrain and smoke drifted out from where the Rikage lay face down on the ground. Sage mode deactivated. Naruto let out a sigh as his eyes shifted back to normal, though he never took his eyes off of where the Rikage now lay. He's down. Rikage-sama is he's just. Could anybody have actually predicted this outcome? To think someone other than Namake's Minato himself has left Rikage-sama motionless on the ground and incredible. You shook herself to see if her eyes were deceiving her. He's not moving a muscle. If there are no objections, I'll begin the count now. No way. Karui's eyes were glued to the scene before her. Did that idiot actually do it? Yujito asked barely above a whisper, but everyone else heard it just fine. Maybe, sure answered truthfully. Rikage-sama really let his guard down just now, and the guy just took advantage of that, he explained. Omoi was openly cheering. Nice one, Naruto. He took a direct hit from 3S ranked jutsus one after the other. Even Rikage-sama is going to have some difficulty fighting after taking that kind of damage, Samui commented. Karabi's face, however, remained neutral throughout all this. Looks like my plan worked out after all, Naruto thought as he stared at his opponent's unmoving form. A man like him won't fall for traps, and I'm no match for him in experience, so how is a 16-year-old kid like me meant to beat him? It's simple really, he spoke with narrowed eyes. With speed and power, he finished. It's one thing to say that Daimyo-sama, but to actually make it a reality is an entirely different thing, you said, shaking her head. Do you want to get in one last blow? It won't make you popular, but it's not against the rules, she told him. Naruto shook his head at that. No, I'll wait. It would be dangerous to approach him right now. What? You asked, confused. Just then the strangest thing happened. The Raikage rose to his feet just as the 9th count was stated. He stood up, you said in disbelief. He's up? He's on his feet and standing as though nothing happened. Is he even hurt? Her question echoed through the air, allowing all to hear. Oh no, Karui muttered as her eyes widened. Damn it, this is bad, Omoi said through gritted teeth. Naruto, get out of there now. Yujito tried to yell, but no words came out. A low chuckle escaped Rikiya's lips, but it soon escalated to all-out laughter. His head held back as he laughed to the heavens themselves, his voice booming over the canyon. What in the world is this? Has he sustained damage to the head or something like that? You asked nervously. He brought his head back down, settled his gaze on Naruto. Lightning chakra sparked as his body was engulfed in it. His muscles were now tense as his gaze became unwavering and hardened for the first time since the fight started. This isn't killing intent, it's his presence alone, Naruto realized as his heart started faster. You saying you might want to get out of here, he said. Why, yes, I think I should, she said and left as faster as she could. This is the first time I've ever seen Raikage-sama take a stance, Naruto thought as he saw Rikiya settle into a taijutsu stance. Naruto closed his eyes and said simply, I guess this is where the real fight begins, right? The Raikage's face remained neutral as the lightning danced across his body. Yes, it is. Sage mode reactivated. Chapter 26, Shadow vs. Demon. Lightning Country Valley of Lightning. Naruto's attention snapped up as the Raikage appeared in front of him. He ducked under the punch that was sent his way and Flash stepped behind the much larger man. The blonde threw a punch only for Rikiya to turn swiftly and grab his arm. He didn't lose his momentum, however, and threw Naruto across the entire canyon at an extreme velocity. His reflexes have gotten better, but how? Naruto asked in thought, and while he was still in midair made a hand seal. Hiraishin no Jutsu, he disappeared in a flash of yellow and appeared beside the Raikage once again. Before he could land his attack, however, Rikiya dropped to the floor and threw out his elbow at the blonde. I can't even touch him now. Erubo, the word echoed as Rikiya delivered the monstrous elbow to Naruto's midsection. Naruto winced in pain from the blow as he was blown back from the impact. Before he could get far, however, the Raikage grabbed his foot and pulled him back. Oh shit! Naruto's eyes widened as the Raikage drove his fist down on Naruto's stomach. Dust was blown up as Naruto hit the ground and the area around them shifted into a nice, neat crater at least 20 meters wide. Damn it, even with the futon Rasengan that hurt like hell, he thought with a wince. Suddenly Rikiya jumped off him. This can't be good. It's over, Jiriken Darapu! He shouted as he prepared a monstrous kick. Naruto's eyes widened. Hiraishin no Jutsu. He disappeared in a flash of yellow just as the Raikage attacked. Dust was blown up into the air upon impact as Naruto appeared on the other side of the canyon next to move his remaining kunai. I can't keep this up. I'm almost out of Hiraishin kunai. I should probably stick to long-range attacks from now on. Do you see the difference between our levels now, kid? Just because you forced me to take this seriously doesn't mean you can actually defeat me. Why don't you just give up? No one would blame you for it, Rikiya said with a smirk. If Pain, the leader of Akatsuki, couldn't get me to give up, what makes you think you can? Who the hell do you think I am? I never back down and I never go back on my word. I made a promise, I always keep my promises, said the Kitsune Sennin as he formed a hand seal. Spoken like a true Uzumaki, the Raikage commented as he remembered a particular scene. Just who the hell do you think I am? I will never break my word and I don't give up until the end, said Kushina as she leveled her sword at him. He may look like his father, but that spirit is definitely inherited from his mother. His fighting style is too, Rikiya observed with a smirk. Tajukage Bunshin no Jutsu, hundreds of clones popped into existence around the original. I see what he's doing with this many clones. I've lost track of the original. He's trying to keep me off balance, not bad kid. Rukia's smirk broke into a full-blown grin as the clones charged forward. The clones barreled towards him with renewed vigor. Come here, old man. Rukia's grin never left his face as he lifted his arm towards the coming sea of red and yellow. Not good enough, kid. Raiton Ryuden no Jutsu, a massive dragon made of lightning, shot out from his arm and started wiping out the large number of clones. Out of the 500 clones that were created, only 3 managed to get through the Reikich's assault, Bunshin Daibakua. 3 loud thumps echoed throughout the canyon as the clones exploded in 3 hot clouds of smoke and flame. It cleared quickly, however, revealing a completely unharmed and unfazed Reikich standing in the center. Sage mode deactivated, so even exploding clones are useless against his defenses. I should have expected that since he survived a direct hit from my Futon Kamikaze no Jutsu at point-blank range. Damn it, my Sage modes ran out of chakra again, Naruto thought grimly from his hiding place behind a nearby boulder. Hiding won't help you, kid. You know your father was a great man. I hated him. After all, he's the only one to have actually beaten me. Your mother was able to force a draw with me too. If I were to compare them to you, I'd say you've taken the best qualities of both of them. You look like the spitting image of your father, but you have your mother's heart and mind. That makes you very dangerous, I'll admit, but you're still not in my league. The Reikich's voice boomed across the canyon. You say that like I give a damn. I've beaten opponents beyond my level time and time again. This time will be no different. Naruto's voice echoed throughout the canyon so as not to give away his location. Rukia turned his head. That may be true, however, against my Raiton no Yoroi you stand no chance. In addition to enhancing my body to the point that it physically is impossible to touch me, my jutsu also enhances my reflexes to the point where I can react, counter, and move with speed comparable to your speed jutsus. That explains how you're able to stand up to Shuunpa and Iration, but everyone has a weakness. I'll find yours, Naruto said, still hiding. The Reikich chuckled at that. You're welcome to try. What are they doing exactly? Omoe asked, confused. Samui was the one who answered. They're trying to play mind games with the others so their opponent makes a mistake. Naruto's hiding, but it's only a matter of time before grandfather finds him. If he doesn't think up a plan and quick, then he's done for, Yujito thought as she watched the match. I found you, Rukia said and turned swiftly. Naruto's eyes widened as he jumped away. Damn it. Sage mode reactivated. Cho Udama Raikyu. The Reikich exclaimed as he threw a massive ball of pure lightning at the boulder. It was vaporized instantly along with everything with 100-meter radius. Your speed won't save you forever, kid. I have to keep my distance, Naruto thought as he saw the Reikich pursuing him. Tsuin Udama Raikyu. 2 balls of pure lightning were hurled through the air towards him. Naruto saw them coming, however, and flipped forward while still in midair, so he was upside down with his arms crossed over his chest. If it can stop Amaterasu, then it can stop a pair of those things. A wide plate of spinning chakra spiraled into existence to cover him as the 2 attacks impacted it. Futon Rasen. Though the attacks were nullified, Naruto was still blown backwards from the impact, but his hands were already in motion. He ran through hand seals as fast as he could, and once he was finished, he created 2 balls of pure wind in his hands. That's the same jutsu as before. It's not enough, kid, just face it already, Rukia sighed at the thought. Futon Kamikaze no Jutsu. What happened next the Reikich didn't expect, however, instead of launching the attack at him like he had thought. Naruto instead aimed for the ground below him, which resulted in the jutsu's recoil blasting himself high into the air above the canyon. What the hell is he doing? Rukia thought in surprise as he saw Naruto ascend into the sky. Futon Rasen, Kage Bunshin no Jutsu, Naruto whispered as he created another chakra plate to land on. 2 clones popped into existence at his side and immediately started charging his next attack. A terrifying bell-like screech filled the air as Naruto jumped off of the chakra plate and accelerated down towards the ground where the Reikich stood. Shuunpa no Jutsu, he whispered as he suddenly accelerated in a streak of yellow light. He's using gravity in combination with his Shuenpa no Jutsu that will add more power to his attack, and it will make it nearly impossible to counterattack for an ordinary shinobi, that is. Rukia grinned and braced himself. Futon Rasengan. Naruto called out as he struck the Raikage dead center in the chest. Got you, he grinned as the attack exploded in a sea of white light and spinning winds. His grin faltered, however, when the Raikage's body shimmered slightly and burst into electrify. What the ugh? His entire body suddenly felt like was on fire as large amounts of lightning coursed through him. Damn, it was a lightning clone. He, it's an interesting jutsu, isn't it? The Rai Bunshin no Jutsu, it's just as effective as those exploding clones of yours, well, at least to an enemy, Rukia said as he appeared behind the blonde. Naruto tried to turn, but his body wouldn't comply for some reason. I'm sure you've noticed that you can't move now. Every nerve cluster in your entire body has been shocked, and it will take a few minutes for you to get any feeling back in them. That's all the time I need to finish this, however. Damn it, I was careless, Naruto said through gritted teeth. Rukia smirked as he grabbed the blonde and turned him upside down like a rag doll. Game over, Kid Ragabomu. The Raikage's voice was soon followed by a monstrous blast of dust as the two bodies dropped to the ground with great force. Sage mode deactivated, it's over, Omoi sighed. Sure nodded solemnly, yeah. No one's ever survived that jutsu before, it'd be a miracle if he's even still alive after that. Naruto Yujito's breathing was ragged now as she continued to watch. The dust cleared after a few seconds to reveal Rukia standing up straight with his arms folded and his gaze locked on Naruto's prone form, which lay a few feet away. Naruto coughed slightly, sending blood scattering across the ground. His insides felt like they had been turned to mush by the impact. His neck hurt like hell, and every muscle in his body ached from the pain he felt at that moment. You're done, kid. Anyone else would have been killed by that jutsu. You're lucky to be alive after that. Just give up before I have to kill you, the Raikage's voice echoed across the canyon. Without Sage mode, I can't keep Futon Rasengan running. That last attack of his drained it completely to keep me alive. I'm rapidly running out of options here. That's if I ever had any to begin with, Naruto thought as he let out a pained groan. He couldn't move even if he tried. I won't give up, he gasped out the words. Fine then, the Raikage sighed and raised his hand to the sky. Tell me, do you know why I picked this valley for us to battle in? True, its size was one of the reasons, but the main reason for it was entirely different, he smirked as he explained. You see, this entire canyon is statically charged because of the local environment. Now, since you've spent quite a bit of time with my granddaughter, I know you've got an idea on how her jutsus work, right? Naruto's eyes widened as he realized what the Raikage was referring to. I see you do. Naruto. Get up, you idiot. The two were surprised at the source of the voice. Yujito had apparently grabbed the mic you had and was using it. You can't give up like this. On your feet, damn it. Yujito-chan, I'm sorry I'm forced to make you cry, Rukia thought as he turned his attention back to the defenseless Kitsune Sennin. Yujito and Naruto thought as he closed his eyes. This is the end for you, Kitsune Sennin, the Raikage spoke. Naruto. Raitun Kirin. Naruto's eyes snapped open just as the attack came down and the world was engulfed in a sea of crimson light. What the hell is that light? Karui asked in a shout as the column of light erupted from Naruto's position and destroyed the attack that would have killed him. A better question would be, what is with that chakra? Omoi told her as he covered his eyes. That is the number 9, and now he'll be fine, Karabi answered in his own way as the light died down. That's the Yujito trailed off at seeing what form Naruto had taken. The guy has 6 tails, damn, Omoi commented. Now that I think about it, this is the first time I've seen him use the Kyuubi's power. He's been using his own since this fight started. Is he actually able to use the demon's full capabilities? Only 2 Jinchuriki have ever accomplished that feat, and one of them is my little brother. Don't tell me he's been training this brat. The Raikage narrowed his eyes and sent a glance at the mountain where he knew his brother was watching. You can pound me as much as you want, but it won't do anything. You can beat me within an inch of a life and I won't care. I've never given up before, and I won't start now. Naruto shouted as he shot forward faster than before. He's as fast as his Shoinpa no Jutsu, Rikiya thought as he ducked under Naruto's the punch. Erubo, he whispered as he delivered the monstrous physical attack to Naruto's Yuki-covered stomach. It didn't do anything, however. Actually it did the opposite, since his arm felt like it was on fire after the attack connected. A split second later one of Naruto's chakra tails swung round and slashed from the side in hopes of catching him. The Rikichi's enhanced reflexes kicked in, however, and he backed off just in time. Naruto flipped forward and planted his chakra claws on the ground, so he was standing on his hands instead of his feet. Rikiya raised an eyebrow at the maneuver, only for his eyes to widen as Naruto's 6 tails suddenly started moving and slashing at him in irregular patterns. The tails came down on him and he rose his arms up in defense, hoping his lightning armor would be able to hold them off. That fighting style, that's Killer Bee's Kenjutsu with 7 swords. He's using those chakra tails like Killer Bee does with his 7 swords. It's completely unreadable too, the Rikichi realized as the tails came crashing down on him. Dust was blown upwards for several miles actually, and the audience had to cover their eyes. It died quickly, however, to reveal that the Rikichi had backed away again, intent on putting some distance between the two. This kid continues to impress me. Why are you running? I thought you were going to beat me. Naruto growled in a mocking voice. Rikiya just smirked at that. He's trying to keep me off balance with his mind games. He charged 2 balls of lightning and threw them at Naruto, hoping to slow him down. Tsuin Udama Raikyu. Naruto swatted the attacks out of the way as if they were nothing. He deflected my lightning attacks with chakra alone. It must be highly condensed if it's able to resist my jutsu. It's acidic too, if the pain in my arms is any indication. Just then, however, Naruto let out a deafening scream as a large number of red and blue balls shot out of his body and floated in the air around him. A small drop of sweat traveled down the Rikichi's face as he spoke. This is unfortunate. Hey guys, doesn't that look an awful lot like Omoi started? Yes it does, Karui nodded. Where did he learn an Oni-jutsu? Did you teach it to him, sensei? Omoi asked the Hachibi Jinchuriki, who appeared to be grinning at the match. He already knew how to do it. Now watch carefully to this little bit. Karabi rapped with his eyes not leaving the fight. The Amari, Yujito whispered as she watched the chakra spheres gathered at Naruto's mouth and start to compress. Rokubiko Imari. Naruto bellowed as the menacing ball of death and destruction accelerated towards the Rikichi at incredible speeds. So it's projectile in nature instead of a beam like Killer Bee's. Rikiya narrowed his eyes as the attack closed in on him. With his enhanced reflexes, he dodged to the side at the last moment. It grazed his stomach like it was nothing and detonated in stream of blinding light. Rikiya dived away just outside of the blast and clutched his bleeding stomach. That was just a graze incredible. If he had scored a direct hit, then I'd be the Rikichi, thought as he stood a moment later and shrugged off the blow. A moment later Naruto descended towards him from above. Damn it, I was careless. Yoko Rasengan. Naruto called out as he struck down with a large red ball of spinning chakra. Rikiya narrowly escaped the blast as it detonated with the same intensity as the last attack. So this is the power of the strongest of the 9 still, he grinned as he finally came to a stop. Kid, if this is all you've got, then you can't win this. The chakra fox just leveled a glare at him but didn't move to continue his attack. He closed his eyes as he remembered all that had happened since he started this journey. Do you have someone precious to you? I truly believe you are the only one who can surpass the Yondaime Hokage. I believe in you and I always will. Parents always believe in their children. I don't care what you think, I'll hit you with everything I've got. Naruto spoke finally. The chakra around suddenly him bubbled as it encased the bones on his tailed shroud. This is Rikiya gritted his teeth as he saw Naruto's form bulge and grow. The ground around the blonde suddenly exploded in a column of crimson light, blinding everyone from viewing what was happening. Suddenly the light vanished, followed by a weak but extremely wide shockwave. All the while the Rikichi never took his eyes off of Naruto's form. Well, he wasn't exactly hard to see anymore. Standing on all fours was a large monstrous chakra fox with 9 tails. Well shit, the Rikichi said through gritted teeth. The fox roared. Chapter 27 The Last Gamble. Lightning Country Valley of Lightning. Oh shit, Omoi gulped on seeing the enormous fox in the canyon below. Are we safe here? I mean, Naruto's using 9 tails worth of power here. Karui shouted. Don't worry about it, yo, it's fine, not like he's the Biju himself, yo, Karabi spoke, trying to calm her down. He is massive. He's the size of the Hachibi, Karui exclaimed as she pointed towards the large fox. Watching this fight, I feel like I should get stronger too. I mean, they're both so far beyond my level now, Yujito thought as a smile graced her face. Her usual smirk and grin were nothing compared to this smile. He can win. Kubiko Imari. Naruto's demonic voice echoed throughout the canyon as a blinding light erupted from his mouth. The beam destroyed everything it touched as he swerved his head and wiped out everything within 40 miles around the wreckage. Rikiya stood on one knee clutching his stomach tightly. In this form he's far more dangerous than anyone else I've ever encountered. Minato, you really beat this thing? I may hate you, but I have to respect your strength. To do otherwise would be stupid on my part. Yoko Rasengan. Naruto bellowed as a ball of red chakra formed his claw. He struck down on where the wreckage stood and the entire area was flattened by the blast. I guess he really can level mountains to think he's able to use the Rasengan while in that form too, Rikiya thought as he jumped away. Hold still, old man. Naruto shouted as 3 of his tails tried to swat him out of the air. Rikiya dodged, however, and threw his counterattack, Tsuin Udama Raikyu. The 2 balls of lightning thudded against Naruto's side, but he didn't even flinch from the impact. I thought it wouldn't work, but I had to try at least once. Suddenly more red and blue spheres started to merge at Naruto's mouth. Damn it, he's charging them faster now. Kubiko Imari. The attack cut through the earth like it was made of paper, paved the way for a nice little lake in the future. The wreckage jumped high above the walking weapon of mass destruction and started charging his next attack above his head. Not bad, kid, but I've defeated my brother when he goes Hachibi. What makes you think this will save you from my wrath? He threw down a massive ball of lightning in hopes of defeating him there and then. Cho Udama Raikyu. I don't care about that. Naruto shot back as the attack hit him in the side. He shrugged it off, however. I am not your brother. He may not be able to beat you, but I am. He's not even feeling my attacks anymore. That body isn't like any Biju I've ever seen. It's there, but it's not at the same time. It's the size of the Hachibi, but unlike the Hachibi, it is impenetrable to almost any attack. Add in the fact that it has no elemental weakness like the Nibi, and it's one hell of a problem at this rate. I may have to resort to that jutsu in order to stop him, were the thoughts running through Rikiya's head as he landed back on solid ground. The fox suddenly let out a deafening roar as red and blue spheres started gathering at the tips of each of his 9 tails. Are those Omoi tried to ask through nervousness. Yes, they are, Samui replied calmly. There are 9 of them, Omoi gulped. How can he control so many of them at once? Yujito asked as her smile widened. That is not good, the wreckage thought as he tried to run. Taju Imari. 9 large black menacing balls shot down towards the wreckage in large beams of light and laid waste to the landscape as they went. The ground was set ablaze as the beams reduced everything in the canyon to nothingness. After a few moments the attack died down and silence claimed the land. The dust cleared after a few more seconds and Naruto could clearly see his opponent on one knee breathing hard. I'm reaching my limit, the wreckage thought as he rose to his feet once again. I have to suppress the power of his Biju right now or else I will lose. He narrowed his eyes and pulled out 10 modified kunai. He jumped high into the air above the large fox and threw the 10 kunai all around him evenly. That should do it. What are you doing? Naruto asked as Rikiya touched back down in front of him. How do you think I defeated my brother? He is a Jinchuriki and an extremely skilled one at that, even if he does like to mess around half of the time. No human can defeat a monster like the Hachibi without an ace up their sleeve. Mine are these, he said, gesturing towards the kunai all around Naruto. Suppression seals? Naruto asked as he narrowed his eyes at the kunai. The wreckage nodded at that. That's right. They're extremely powerful ones as well. These ones are my own personal creation just in case I ever encounter an enemy Jinchuriki. Damn it, Naruto growled at falling into the trap. Fuin Jutsu Fuin Reimu, the Reikage held out a hand as the 10 kunai glowed purple. White lightning shot out of them and pinned Naruto's huge form to the ground. A large spear of lightning covered in hundreds of seals appeared in Rikiya's hand as he jumped into the air once again. He threw the spear a moment later and it pierced right through Naruto's back and out his stomach. It even went further and embedded itself in the ground under him. The fox coughed up some blood as his body seemed to convulse and steam began to float off from him. After a few moments it became clear that the fox was shrinking, getting smaller and smaller as one by one his tails were drained away. Eventually his form couldn't be seen through all of the steam, though the Reikage did give a sigh of relief at finally having taken down the monstrous creature he was fighting. I should wrap this up quickly once the dust settles, he thought as he waited for the fog to clear. I can't believe it, did he lose? Omoe asked when he saw the fox disappear. Don't count him out just yet, he's still got a chance to win, I bet, Kurabi told him. Even the 9th tail wasn't enough, Naruto, you still have something left, right? Yujito asked in thought as she felt her heart beating faster. Sage mode reactivated. The fog was blown away by the shockwave as Naruto stood in its center. His skin just finished healing as his pupils narrowed into vertical slits and his gaze settled in on his opponent. He's already in Sage mode? How did that happen? Rikiya thought with a raised eyebrow. So I was right, my demon chakra does replenish my sage reserves, Naruto realized as his fist clenched. Is that why I felt so powerful when I confronted Nagato? If so, then I should be able to. His eyes closed as the wind began to pick up around him. Hybrid mode activated. A much stronger shockwave erupted from Naruto's position as his eyes snapped open, revealing that a red line had formed at their edges. What is that? I don't believe it, I thought I sealed his Biju's chakra off. This shouldn't be possible, Rikiya thought as his eyes widened. I only get one shot at this, the same trick won't work twice. If I drop out of this hybrid mode, then I'll lose. I'll either win or I won't in the next 3 moves. It's all up to timing and a lot of luck. Oh, he'll probably need divine intervention. I don't believe it, there's no way you should be able to use your Sage mode and your Jinchuriki form at the same time. The concentration needed for something like that is more than any human can handle, the Reikage stated. Naruto just grinned. You mean like looking left and right at the same time? That's what I thought, but it's actually pretty easy if you spend enough time working on it. How do you look left and right at the same time? That is impossible, the Reikage told him. Naruto's grin widened. Kage Bunshin no Jutsu, of course. I used something like 3,000 clones over the past month to try and get this thing under control without killing me. Rikiya's eyes hardened at that. It won't save you. Let's finish this, Naruto said as his body was encased in a torrent of wind. Futon Raisenkin, he whispered as he settled into a taijutsu stance. Futon Kaze Shuenpa, he disappeared in a flash of yellow light and instantly reappeared at the Reikage's side. This is his Shuenpa no Jutsu again. Without Hiraition no Jutsu, however, it will be less effective, Rikiya thought as he threw out his fist to where he knew his opponent would attack from. Something he was not expecting happened though. Naruto's body shimmered yellow for a moment as he seemed to shift slightly to side, narrowly missing the Reikage's counterattack. Faster than the eye could see, Naruto landed a monstrous punch to the Reikage's face, sending him flying back through the air. What the oh, I see what he's done. He's infused his wind elemental affinity into his jutsu. This must allow him to make course corrections while fighting instead of randomly moving across the battlefield in hopes of catching his enemy by surprise. That is truly a powerful jutsu, however. I said it before and I'll say it again. Speed won't save you forever, kid, Rikiya thought as he landed on his feet. Naruto appeared in front of him again and landed a powerful kick to his chest, sending him crashing into the canyon wall with great force. The dust cleared soon, however, and the Reikage could be seen standing unharmed. Your new form is powerful, kid, but it's still not good enough, he said simply. They're both at their limits. That idiot can't keep this up forever, and grandfather is almost out of chakra. It could go either way at this point, Yujito said. You're wrong about that. You may be stronger than me while that Raiton no Yoroi is in use, but I bet you can't keep it going. You must be running low on chakra by now, Naruto said knowingly. Rikiya just chuckled at that. You're right about that, but I can last for a few more minutes. Even if I'm not a Jinchuriki, my chakra reserves are far greater than any other human's. Naruto grinned at that. Well, let's see how much you have. He quickly stepped away a few dozen feet and made a hand seal, Kage Bunshin no Jutsu. 2 clones popped into existence beside him and the Reikage gave him a confused look. You don't get it, do you? I led you here so nobody else would get caught in my next attack. Then ever since he entered this new form he's been pushing me to where he wants me to be. Rikiya's eyes widened at the realization. A constant deafening screech filled the air as the clones poured the powers of energy and wind into one single technique. The sphere of destruction glowed red in his hand with 4 thin blades of yellow wind spinning around it. The blade expanded into the form of a shuriken as he twisted his body in preparation. Is that the same jutsu as before? No, it's different. I can't allow myself to get hit by that, the Reikage thought as the wind around them picked up. Naruto twisted his body and threw the chakra shuriken towards him, futon raising kamikaze. I must escape now. Rikiya shouted in thought as he disappeared in a burst of speed. He didn't look back as he jumped out of the canyon and continued on for another 10 miles on the open terrain before the jutsu finally detonated. The chakra shuriken expanded into a ball of spinning wind, engulfing most of the canyon and some of the neighboring area where the Reikage fled into. Trees, boulders, and even the earth itself were pulled into the maelstrom of power before being crushed and slashed by its unstoppable wind. Hybrid mode deactivated. What the hell is that? Karui shouted as she tried to hold herself in place with chakra. That's Naruto's jutsu. I saw him use it once before. He destroyed a mountain with it. Yujito shouted over the wind. I can believe that. Omoi shouted back at seeing the destructive power that was being unleashed. That thing is worse than Kyuubi. He continued. The ball suddenly exploded with tremendous force, sending a massive blast of wind in all directions, forcing everyone to be blown off of their feet. It all went silent after the few seconds it took for it to die down. Yujito stood up and clutched her head with her hand. Is everyone okay? Yeah, we're just fine, Omoi groaned as he stood up. What kind of jutsu was that? I've never seen anything like it, you asked as the rest of the audience managed to stand up again. It's called the Futon Raisen Kamikaze. It's the only jutsu Namikaze Minato wasn't able to finish, Yujito answered, having heard of it from Naruto. Are they dead? You asked as the group turned their attention back to the canyon, or what's left of it. The smoke cleared after a good 30 seconds or so and revealed the Reikage on standing at the edge of the massive crater breathing hard. Damn it, this kid is really something else. He's made me run out of chakra. My jutsu is no longer active. Rikiya gritted his teeth as the sweat rolled down his head. He caught sight of Naruto standing in the crater at its edge just a dozen or so yards away. Damn it, at this range he can make it. Kage Bunshin no Jutsu, 2 clones popped into existence beside him. One of them was charging his last attack while the other threw the original through the air straight at the Reikage. Here I come, old man. Rikiya's eyes widened. I can't dodge in time. Naruto came down and buried his attack straight into the man's gut, Rasengan. The ground around them cracked as wisps of chakra spiraled out from the blow. Suddenly the Reikage was blown back and crashed hard the ground with a thunderous explosion. Dust was blown up from the impact even as Naruto's body hit the ground and he rolled across the terrain. He stopped just before the impact zone, breathing hard and struggling to remain conscious. He shook himself to try and get rid of the dizziness he felt and painfully looked towards where the Reikage had crashed. That's my limit. I guess I used every trick I knew and even a few of Kyuubi's. I gambled everything on that last attack. I can't beat him if he gets back up, Naruto thought as he tried to steady his breathing. The dust cleared and Rikiya could be seen lying on his back. His ribs were bloodied and he groaned from the pain that flooded his body. That has to bring you down. Yeah, he gasped out through gritted teeth. You got me good, kid. I can't continue. Nice one, kid. You win this round, but I expect a rematch sometime. He gasped out each word with a grin on his face. It was painful, but he would deal. Your parents would be proud. And Yujito? Naruto asked with a wince. Rukia just stared off into the sky. She's all yours. May God help you. Naruto chuckled at that last part, but winced from the pain it caused. I think we need a medic. You're right, we do, the Rikage said back simply. When Namikaze Naruto? Yu's voice echoed across the war-torn terrain. Rukia then took notice of an approaching figure. Hey kid. Yujito-chan at 6 o'clock. Naruto turned slightly but was unable to resist as Yujito grabbed him and hugged tightly against her. You reckless idiot, she sobbed out. Sorry to worry you, Yujito, Naruto whispered as she cried into his coat. I love you and I didn't want to lose you. I know it's selfish, but I can't help myself this time. She pulled him into a kiss before he could say anything else. The Rikage watched from the side with a small smile. Everything turned out all right after all. I was worried he wasn't the right one for her for a second there. Those two are complete idiots, Samui said with a sigh as the battle drew to a close. After Naruto gets patched up, I want to go drinking with the guy. Who's with me? Omoe asked. Count me in, Sure said. Me too, Darui said.
Thank you for your views, likes, subscriptions, and overall support of my ongoing efforts to bring great content to all of you. Check out my Patreon for more mature fanfiction. The link is in the description and like everywhere on my channel.